My multimedia project is about 95% finished at this point. The finishing touches are on the way, and I am excited for this project, as a whole, to be completed. Little did I know, when I started this project, it was going to take a lot more time and effort than I thought. But I don't see that as a bad thing. This project makes you put your brain to the test, and you actually get to explore new parts of the world you'd never explore otherwise. When I originally started drafting ideas about this project, I had a few topics in mind. I really liked the idea of color because I felt there are so many opportunities all over the place to make defamiliarizing comparisons. I started to draft a few poems about color, take a few pictures I thought were interesting, and try to put the two concepts together in a project form. I quickly realized that in my heart and in my head, this wasn't a topic I was passionate about. It also turned out to be a very hard poem to draft, and I didn't think the reader would have a great idea of the meaning of my poem. This left me to choose another topic. This is one change I had to make in my project going forward. The second topic I started to write about was animals. I have a love for animals, especially dogs, so I thought I might give this idea a try. It turns out, it's hard not to be cliche and boring with this topic. I couldn't find a lot of stuff to take pictures of, and I couldn't really put any words to paper. It was also hard to defamiliarize this topic. Animals are a pretty straightforward species that don't allow for much analogy or comparison. The only thing I could think to add was the concept of personification, but that wasn't going to be enough to cover a whole poem. Although I love animals, this was just not the right idea for a project like this one. The next topic I chose ended up being my final idea. This was the sport of boxing. I realized while writing about color that my heart just wasn't fully in it. So I had to think about something that I really cared about and was really into physically and emotionally. I am really into weightlifting and cardio, and I also have a true love for the sport of boxing. This was going to be my new topic. I wanted to connect these ideas to everyday events in my life. I think a boxing match and the preparation it involves has a lot of opportunity for defamiliarization, both through images and words. That is definitely something I learned during this project, that you can't really turn a poem into life if you aren't truly passionate about it. You have to care about what you are writing about. This also makes the project a lot more fun and valuable. This isn't just some regular project due for a regular class. In all honesty, it is much different than any assignment I've ever been given. I think this allows for more learning and more opportunity to share your personal voice. Finding imagery for this poem was a little difficult, but it wasn't so hard that I was forced to start all over again. I didn't want the majority of my pictures to be things like punching bags or boxing rings. I thought this was too ordinary and boring. Of course, one or two pictures do include elements of boxing, but no more than that, because then it takes away from defamiliarization. This made me expand my mind and go out and see things in a different way. The pictures I took came after writing and revising my poem. I felt like once I had the words on paper, I could think of some quirky and strange imagery to represent what I was saying. If I did it the other way around, took the pictures, and then drafted the poem, I feel I would have had a harder time making connections. I say I am only 95% done with this project because some things still need work. I need to redo the recording of myself reading the poem because I was not talking loud enough, clear enough, or slow enough. I also need to edit some of the pictures I've taken. None of them have any filters or special effects on them yet. I need to figure out which ones I want to edit and which ones will allow for the most defamiliarization. I also need to figure out how to construct my Works Cited page. I want to make sure I give credit to all applications and websites that I use to make changes to photos and words. This has to be done carefully so I don't infringe on school rules and to make sure I receive full credit for the work I've put forth. One last thing I need to do is go back and reread my poem. I have to record myself speaking again anyway, so I might as well go back and make sure the poem is structured correctly. Although I don't think many changes are going to have to be made, I do think a few tweaks can be made if I look closely enough. I am definitely proud with the work I've done for this project. I remember way back in February when I was thinking about all of it, I didn't know if I'd be able to do a good job with an assignment as complex as this one. But I worked hard, stayed focused, followed the criteria, and came up with what I think is a really good project. I've never had to do a lot of stuff with poetry before this class, so I'm proud that I was able to think in a new way during this course and during this project. I'm also proud of the fact that I was able to make what I think are defamiliarizing connections. I feel I have struggled all year with defamiliarization, but I really tried hard to make sure I had good examples in this project, and I think I succeeded to a good degree. There are some things I could have done better with this project. Instead of completing most of the project in a short time, I wish I spread out the workload. I think it would have kept my ideas more fresh and allowed me to be less tense and stressed out while writing the poem and taking the pictures. I always like to get tasks done as soon as I can when I receive them, but it would have been more beneficial to me to spread out the work a little bit more. Another thing I could have done better was drafting ideas for this poem. I pretty much had the concept of color set in stone from the start, so when it didn't end up working out, I was left in the dark a little bit about what to write. Even though I was highly attracted to writing about color, I still should have allowed myself to have a few backup plans in case it didn't work out. This could have saved me a lot of time and effort during the time I was working on the project. I am excited to finish up my multimedia project and see how the final copy turns out.